everyone, welcome to this Odoo webinar about business intelligence and how to make dashboard from scratch faster than ever with Odoo. My name is Gabriel. I'm business analyst and tech expert at Odoo, and I will be joined later by François and Richard to answer your questions. So in this presentation, we will first start with the BI best practices to see how to make best dashboards possible. And I will be using a use case that I will present to you later, and then we will jump into Odoo. François will take some time to present you the roadmap, and then we will, of course, answer your questions. So let's begin. Concerning the BI, I summed up three best practices. The first one is, of course, to define clear objectives and some key metrics to go along with that. The next slide, we will define those objectives together. The second one, will be to ensure data quality by having clean and standardized data, and of course the integration by gathering information from all over the software. And finally, the goal, of course, will be to implement user-friendly dashboards and reporting, and make sure those dashboards are customizable and display good insights. Great. So my name is Gabriel. For today, I will be the manager of Le Vestiaire Vintage, which is a vintage clothes selling company. And what I want to do is, because my sales are a bit low, I want to establish a marketing strategy. Yeah. To do so, I will need to answer 4 questions. So the where, the who, the what, and the how. This will be the first insights. It is concerning the market. So which country should I put my focus on? So we will see two graphs to help us do that. The second one will be about the customers, because we love all of our customers, but it will be cool to assess our top 3 customers to make tailor-made relationship with those. The third one will be my favorite. We will talk about the style and the trend, and we will assess which collections suit our customer the best at which time of the year. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about strategy, which best strategy we should put in place. So we will assess the quantity versus the average price to see whether we go for a more premium strategy or a more promotional strategy. All right, without further ado, let's jump into Odoo. So this is my landing page, of my software. You see a lot of application over there. What we'll be focusing on is the top 3 on your left. So you'll have the sales application, the document application, and the dashboard application. I will jump into the document application, and you can see a quite similar face. On the left, you have the workspace, and in here you can find different folders. We will find in there some PDF, some invoices, and of course some spreadsheets. Now about the dashboard application, we'll find here, of course, the different dashboards. Those are pre-made dashboards made by Odoo when you install the application. And you can see here on the left the different categories. And here on the top, you can see different filters. For example, here I want to filter on myself, on the salesperson, and you can see it is moving. So this is really the goal we want to achieve today together. Great. Now I put my salesperson hat. So the application that interests me is the sales application. So I jump into it. You can see different information in there. The customer, of course, the total, the status, etc. So this is the list view. And as a good salesperson, I will make my quotation in front of you. So I will select here my customer that I like. And because it is winter, I will select a coat and why not some boots over there? Yeah, and then I'm just gonna confirm it, and just like that, my sales order is created. I want to have a look with you a little bit about the product, so I'm just gonna click here. And I'm landing here on the product form page, where you can see a lot of information displayed, such as the sales price, the cost, the product type, and for those who are familiar with Odoo, you can see here that I created a new field, right? It is a selection field about the style, because it is tailor-made for my company. And you can see here there is different type of style that I will use in my reporting concerning the trend. All right. Enough being a salesperson. I remove my hat. I put my manager hat. So now I will be focusing, as you remember, on the market. So just a quick reminder. Sorry. So we are in the where here. So we will focus on the market and on the countries of my customer. To do so, I will jump here on the pivot view. So you can see here I have a pivot table, right, with the dimension in here and the measures in here. And as a dimension, I want to select the customer country. As you can see, I cannot find it here. That's because I'm in the sales order menu, and for reporting wise, I cannot find all of the information in this menu. Luckily for us, Odoo has created a reporting menu in here, so I just click on it, go on the pivot view, and in here I will find different information than in the previous page. So I will go ahead, click here on the customer country. There you go. And I will change the measure here. I don't want the quantity order, but I want the taxed total. And just like that, my first pivot table is ready to be used. So I will click here on insert in spreadsheet, right? And you can see here, sorry, best practice, name your spreadsheet. Yes. And you can see here two tabs. The third one, we won't talk about it. But then the two tabs here, the first one is concerning the spreadsheets. Those spreadsheets will be, you can find it in the document application we saw earlier, right? And you can have, you can just work on your spreadsheet, sorry, there. But if you want to insert a spreadsheet to just improve pre-existing dashboards, you can just click on dashboard and select your dashboard and insert your spreadsheets in the corresponding dashboards. But now, since we are creating our dashboard together from scratch, I'm just going to insert it in a blank spreadsheet. So here we go. You can see this is quite familiar for probably most of you. Here you have some menu, here some icons to make your cell looks better. And on your right here, you have your pivot property. So in here, I have my first dimension, which is the customer country. And in the rows now, what I want to add is a time dimension to it. So I click on order date. And in here on the top, you can see a warning message and nothing had changed on my pivots. That's because I just inserted a static pivot, but no worries. I can switch it to dynamic. So for that, I will just, I will just type a simple formula, which is pivot, select the pivot ID, which is here 1, and another parameter because I don't want to see the total, right? And then I click in here, and just like that, I have my dynamic pivot. Just gonna make it look a little bit better. And this one, the static one, we don't want it, so we can delete it. And ta-da! And you can see here my time dimension just added. So back to my pivot properties. Here I see the whole 2024 year, but playing with the granularity here, I can change it to month and year. And just like that, I can see here the different months displayed. I'm quite satisfied with my pivots. It's now the time to insert a chart about it. So just by clicking on chart, make it look a little bit readable, just like this. And best practice, remember country's performance, just like that. Make it look nice and put the legend position on the right. And just like that, I can already have some insights. For example, I can see that in the back to school period, the France is doing quite well, where during the whole year, United Kingdom is quite steady. And I can also see that Italy is kind of struggling during those periods, so maybe it could be useful to focus my marketing strategy on this country. Yes. All right. So we tackled the first graph. Now we want to compare all of this country together. And what's best than a pie chart to do that? I will be using the same information, but I'm a bit lazy. I don't want to redo all of the process reinserting my pivots. So what I can just do is click here, pivot properties, and just by duplicating it, I have the same pivots. Of course, in here, I will remove the total, just like that, and rearrange a little bit my pivots. So I don't want the time dimension anymore, so I just click on here, and I want it flipped so that it's more readable. So just flip the axis, and just like that, I have a better, clearer pivot. To make it even more clear, what I can do is just by clicking in here on the measure, what I want to see is percentages. So I can just click in here, show measure as column total, and just like that, it's more readable for everyone. I'm quite satisfied. I'm just going to insert here the chart and the pie chart, just like that. I'm going to work on it a little bit. I'm going to add a title, countries comparison, just like that. Make it in the middle, in bold, and the legend on the right. So this is an overall view of the comparison, and I can see that overall the United Kingdom is the market on which I'm the most present, as well as France, and maybe I should put a little bit more interest in the Belgium market. Great. So the where is tackled. Now let's move on to the customers. So I'm going to go ahead and insert another pivot. To do so, I just click in here to return on my menu. And I don't need the country anymore, so I will find here my customer. And I want the top 3, so it has to be ascending. So I just click in here both times. And you can see now that the tennis club is the first and Openwood is the worst client. I still love him. I'm going to insert it in my spreadsheets, just like that. Make it dynamic, remember, up with this formula. Yes, this formula is the third pivot, and I want to add another parameter because I only want to see the top 3 rows. So I'm just going to click on 3 here, 0, and just like that I have my pivot ready to be used. And because I like my clients, I just want them to be bold, just like that, and just like that I have my top 3 customers directly. Great. So the who, sorry, is answered. So now let's move to the what, my favorite part. So we will tackle the collections and the style to see what is the best selling and when. Great. To do so, again, I'm going to insert another pivot. So I click in here, and what I can't see is the style. I need a style to perform these pivots, and as I told you before, different menus display different information. So what I will do is just insert another menu. I will create a menu with you, and we will find the style there. So I'm going to open Studio, Edit Menu, New Menu. I'm going to rename it Sales Order Lines, just like that, and I will link it to an existing menu, just like that. Perfect. And when I click on it, you can see here on the list view that I have all of my sales order line displayed. So we broke the sales order into multiple sales order line. If you remember correctly, the style is on the product. So for that, we have to go fetch it. So again, I'm opening Studio and I will create a related field to fetch the style. So as I told you, it's on the product. I click product and then I will find my style over there. Best practice, remember to rename your fields just like that. And tadam, we created our style. As you can see, we are also doing some services and stuff, so all projects don't have style, but no worries, we will use a filter on this. All right, pivot view again. I will apply my filter. On my style, I'm gonna make sure the style is set. And of course, in the measure, I don't want the count. What I want is the subtotal. So I'll select this one and just like that. To make a little bit this presentation a little bit cooler, I want to insert some dimension there. We will insert them directly in the spreadsheets. All right. So insert in spreadsheets, select this one. And my pivot is there. Again, we'll make it dynamic with this formula. You're starting to know how to do that. 0 and just like that, make it look a little bit cooler. Boom. And voila. All right. Now we want to add some dimensions to this pivot, right? So in the columns, what I want to find is, of course, my style. Sorry. My style over there. Yeah. All right. We're back to it. No worries. So my style is there. And I also want to add some time dimension, right? So I'm going to find my order dates over there, and I will filter by month and year, just like that. Perfect. And again, I will insert here my chart, make it a little bit more readable, just like that, and rename it. Don't worry, we got this fast. Up, and make the legend on the right. Great. So now, what can we see on this graph? We can see that during August we had a lot of bohemian kind of vibe. That's all right, and we can see that the casual style is doing quite well during the year. Maybe we should put our focus on the vintage later in the year, or even the chic style all along the year. Great. So this is done, this is done, this is done. And then the last one is the how. So we want to compare the quantity with the average price. Remember to establish our marketing strategy, right? So what I will do is, again, I'm a bit lazy, duplicate this one, just like that. And again, the parameters, I don't want to see the total. And yeah. So the style, we don't need it anymore. I'm just removing that, and I will add some granularity, to my graph by selecting here the week. All right, so as a measure, we have the subtotal, but what we want to see is the quantity and the average price. Average price is basically the subtotal divided by the quantity. But then first, I will add as a measure the quantity, which is just here, just like that. And then what is cool is that I can just add a calculated measure, just like that. I will rename it real quick, average price, just like that. And it works just like a formula. So I type if error just to avoid errors. And I can just select the sum divided by the quantity and 0 if there is some errors. And just like that, I have my average price computed. So remember, the comparison is between the quantity and the average price. So I don't want to see the subtotal in here, so I can just hide it. And just like that, my pivot is ready. So I'm going to insert a chart like this, not a column chart, but a combo chart. And I will work with it a little bit. Again, strategy, I will name it. Make it like this. on the, I'm gonna leave it on the top, and in the data series, I'm just gonna put it on the right so that we have a nice graph. So what I can tell is that when the price is high, the quantity is low, and when the price is low, the quantity is high. So maybe we should apply a promotional strategy. Great. So everything is done now. It is the time, sorry, to start building our dashboards. So I will create a new sheet here that I will name simply dashboards. Yeah, and in this dashboard, I will insert all of my graphs. So I will start with the first one. Just copy and paste. Then the second one, copy and paste like this, quite simple. Third one is a pivot view, right? Remember, so we can just type in here pivot 3. We want the top 3 rows, 0, and just like that, make it a little bit more clear. And I don't want to see this weird filter button, so I just remove it like that. And then we have the fourth one like this, and the fifth and last one, the strategy, just like that. Perfect. Great. Now we are ready to create our dashboard. Add to dashboards over there. I'm gonna rename it reporting 2024, and I'm gonna select a section, dashboard section, which is in the sales. I create it, and you can see here, yes, there is some missing. No worries, we will get back into it. So to get back into it, you can just click in here, and yes, I made a mistake voluntarily, of course. It will take, of course, the first sheet, so you'll have to drag it in the first place. Great, and now you can get back to your dashboards and the reporting, and then you have all of your graphs. Great. So now I want to add some filters, because I think I need to filter some data, for example, by date or by salesperson, etc. So by clicking on this little crayon, what I can do is just add some filters in there. I'm going to add a date filter, for example. And this date filter, I just wanted to link it to the countries comparison, right? So I'm just going to find it the pivot to, and I'm going to link it to this one, just like this, and I'm going to save it. Great. So now you will see, if I select September, this graph is changing. Correct. So the second one will be the customer one. I will link it to the contact model, and as you can see, all of the matching is done for me, so that's quite good. And the last one is the salesperson. I want to link it to the user model, and everything is done for me. That's great. Perfect. Now back to my dashboard. I'm just going to reload my page, and all of my filters are over there. For example, I want to see my customer tennis club. I don't want to bother finding it over there, so I just click in here. You know, the filter, applies. I can see everything about my customer. That's great. Another cool thing, I want to select my salesperson to see how Gabriel did this year. So just select Gabriel, and that's great. And the last cool thing I want to show you is that if I click in here, what I can see is all of the sales order for my customer tennis club, and that's super nice. Great. Last thing to do, I want to send this report to my salesperson, so I filter on Gabriel, right? And then I share this link, and when he will open it, it is a frozen version of the dashboard. It will have this. He can see the filters I applied in here, and he can have all of his information displayed quite nicely. Great. So that's about it. I think my marketing strategy is ready to be tackled with all of this information. So let's make a little recap. So the first thing we did is make some prep on our data. Basically, you have to organize your sales and your product base. Remember, we created a field with Studio for us to get some insights on the trend. And then the second point, you'll have to define insight you want to work on, and train, of course, your user to have consistent data. And then you'll be able to manipulate those data by inserting, of course, relevant data that you prep from anywhere in Odoo in the form of data tables. And of course, remember that Studio opens possibility as we did. Remember, your dashboard, your rules. Thank you very much. I'll leave the floor to François for the roadmap.
Hi everyone, thanks Game for the presentation. I thought I would hijack this nice webinar to give you a little bit of heads up of what we've been planning to do for this V19 version. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you an overview of the big topics we'll try to tackle this year. Obviously, no promises. This is not a hard roadmap. It might change in the future. And then I'll give you some sneak preview about what's already available for the 18.1. So first of all, you've seen in this presentation that it's getting easier and easier to create data in your spreadsheet, nice visualization. The next thing we want to do is to make dashboard creation as easy as possible for you guys. You are still quite limited by the grid of the sheet you're working on. It's easy with charts. You might be annoyed by with the list and the pivot, which are following the grid rules. We'll try to tackle that so that it's easier to move stuff around, like if you were using some widgets. Then we plan to add some new charts. I will show you a couple of those in a few seconds. Then it's been requested a lot. We'll work on the mobile responsiveness for the spreadsheet part as well as for the dashboard part. We know that it's important for you guys to be able to check your dashboards while on the move on your phone or on your tablet. We will work on that. Following the creation of the dashboard, we want also to improve the dashboard user experience. So while using the dashboard, you'll be able to have more flexibility on what you can do on the charts, on the list, on the way you'll be able to visualize them, play with them, zoom in them, etc. So that's going to be a big topic for us this year. Then we want to allow you guys to avoid this back and forth between Odoo applications and spreadsheets. So the idea is that you'll be able to create pivots, Odoo pivot, directly from spreadsheets. So avoiding this jumping back and forth. And last but not least, I'm fairly certain you've already seen Fabien showing all the countries that comes at OXP to check all the talks we have to showcase. But usually there are so many countries you don't see anything. And you have the main countries, then you have a couple of people from other places in the world. You might want to group this in one big group to ease the overview of the chart. That's something we want to do. So you'll be able to group some part of the dimensions into one big group to ease the way you're going to showcase your charts and your pivots as well in the same time. So let's give you a sneak peek about what's coming. First of all, might look like nothing, but it's going to be fairly interesting for some people, I believe. We created a favorite section. This section is personal to each user, so you'll be able to add a star on the dashboard you want to check most of the time, they will appear on top of the application so that you can find them quite easily. You won't have to scroll down to find all those dashboards. We will add the radar charts. It's been fairly requested quite often. We're gonna have some geo charts. As you can see on the side panel, you'll be able to select either the world or a specific region of the world to show the stats by country, obviously. We're gonna add the tree maps charts also. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but you'll be able to group your data, and you will be able to easily showcase the biggest values among the dimensions you want to showcase. So that's about the charts, specific spreadsheet charts, the way I'm going to code it. But if you insert a chart from Odoo, you might have noticed that you might be limited in what you can do with them, because the charts were like in read-only mode. We tackled that, and now you can change the type of charts. You can change the color of the series. You can change the title, which was already the case, I believe. You can change the axis, etc. So a bit everything that Gabe showed you when creating his custom-made charts. You'll be able to sort by measures directly into spreadsheets. So let's say you have a pivot. In this case, I created a measure myself, and I want sort by this measure because I want it to be ascending, for instance. By right-clicking on the dimension, you'll be able to see this new menu, sort pivot, and select if you want it ascending or descending, or no sorting if you want to cancel that. We will add the command palette. So you're fairly aware of what the command palette is. You'll be able to access all the features of spreadsheets using the Control K widget. So this, I'm fairly certain you'll be able to make quite some gain in terms of times. So that's why we did it, obviously. And last but not least, it might look a bit too colorful, but the idea is to provide like a debugging mode you'll be able to use. What it does is that it's gonna showcase all the formula pattern you use in your list, tables, etc., to highlight some irregularities. Sometimes it might be quite time-consuming to check all those formula to see where you might have made a mistake, where there might be a typo. So we enable this mode, which is an on and off from the view top menu, so that you can easily find these mistakes you might have made in the formula. That's it for my sneak preview. I'm gonna ask my friend Richard to join me, and we'll answer all your questions you might have. Thank you.
Hey guys, welcome back here. We are there for the Q&A. You can see that Gab left us with those insights. He went back to the shop, so don't worry, we are here to answer your questions. So let's start ahead with the first one from Charlie. Which Odoo version is this applicable to, and how can you browse the data model that is being used? So the demo that we just saw was in Odoo 18, the latest version that we released a few months ago in October. But all those principles, say, or features are also applicable to versions down to 16, right? Although you may have a bit less features. But you can still insert data from anywhere in Odoo and still manipulate it. You just don't have the nicest features with the dynamic pivot tables. So I think for those who maybe noticed it at the beginning, once you would insert a data, there is, I'm going to back in the backstage here, and I'm going to also show you this menu at the same time. This data menu here shows you all the pivots that we inserted, so from the number 1 to number 5, with all those nice lines as well. And I may reinsert it, okay? So if I try to call it back, there is the dynamic or static way to reinsert a pivot. And if I insert it in a static way, as it is in version 16 and 17, all those different values are still live and synchronized with your data. However, you can see here, every single cell has a specific formula, all right? And what that means is that all those, say, values will fetch the new sale order will be made, say, on December or November, but you won't have the dimension that stretches to also display January or new countries and so on. Although it is still feasible. So you can go back to maybe the talks that we did in 17, for example, because there are ways to manipulate those formulas and be able to stretch it to future month, or to have always a window of 6 months, for example. If we still have time at the end of the webinar, I'll be happy to show it live as well. But just for this quick question, know that it is feasible, of course, and that everything is still feasible from 16 up to 18. In 18 now it is more convenient, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a small remark regarding this static pivot mode. You might be wondering then why we still have it. Actually, it's fairly useful when you want to grab a portion of it, because, I don't know, you might need only the full total, the grand total of your pivot. You can easily grab it. You can take it, you're going to grab the formula with it and reuse it somewhere else. But you can also insert lines and columns in between. It might be interesting if you want to do a quick calculation without creating a calculated measure dedicated to your pivot. So that's like for quick calculation, quick grab of data and stuff like that. So both modes are still quite useful in our opinion.
Great, thanks, François. So just to make it lighter for people, you insert it in static, you can make quick computations.
Correct.
If you need a dashboard, you can do as Gabriel did, make it dynamic and make it more, say, suitable for reporting purposes.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, going back to the questions here. So, oh, right. There was a second part of the question. How can you browse the data model that is being used? I'm going back to the database here, and I'm going to show you as well, different ways to browse it. So if it only is about browsing data from a specific country at a specific date, the most efficient way was, as Gabriel mentioned, through the global filters, right? So those that are at the top right and that are super specific to Odoo. Here you can express your request under the form of a customer, a date, and so on. And your data source will be filtered based on the field matching here, right? So that's the first way to see specific proportions of your data. But there's also another way to understand this question, maybe for that person. To browse the data could also mean that you want to see what's available as dimensions or as measures. So for this, I'm going to right-click on any cell that belongs to this pivot number 1. And then in the properties, here, you can display different columns, rows, or measures. All right, so if you want to browse what's available in order to structure your reporting, you can have access to many different fields, of course, such as the customer industry, right, the states. As long as you populate your data, you can group it or analyze it in different perspective in that sense. We here have the untaxed total. I can also have, for example, the count, the price list, the product. You could mention any kind of, say, numerical data, the unit price as well. And as we showed, there's different way to express a number, of course, as a percentage, as a sum, as a maximum, minimum, average, right? So you have different way to manipulate your data in that sense, all right? Right, up to the second question now. Can we see all sales, meaning sales from the point of sale? If you have a small shop, for example, you may have both the sales application and the point of sale as well. And are you able to see both together, right? So this is feasible indeed. Going back to Odoo here, and it is a very Odoo specific question in that sense. Why? Because here in Odoo you have different applications, right? So we played with the sales one here for this demo, but there's also another application which is the point of sale, right? That would be more related to any shops or maybe restaurant, right? That may be using this. And as there are two different applications or modules, in terms of reporting in Odoo, you would need to fetch place from one place first and then combine it with the second one, which is a first approach that works well, of course, but there's even better, because here, if you go to the sales application, as we mentioned, there's both what you use on a day-to-day basis, so I will be creating sale orders, making, say, discounts and so on as a salesperson, but from a managerial perspective, there's the reporting menu, right? And this reporting menu here will gather sales from both the sales app, the websites as well, also combining sales from the point of sale apps, all right? So in that case here, I don't have my point of sale installed, but I would be able, for example, to group by the specific shop here to have all the shops displayed as different columns, right? Good. Next question in that case. Is it all about sales, or would you go to accounting at some point? So for the demo, we focused here on a simple flow about the sales applications, of course, but everything that we showed here is also applicable to other apps, right? You can mention project, tasks, timesheets, invoices, analytic accounting as well, because in fact, you can insert data from any model, any module, even in Odoo, under the form of three different views. So we played a lot with the pivot table. The list view can also be inserted, and finally graphs themselves can also be part of an insertion in spreadsheets, and eventually a dashboard if you need to express it that way. All right, so there's no specific point about accounting, but know that everything that we have here, you could have translated the approach to accounting. So either the invoices or even the journal items themselves, if you want to dig a bit further, right? I need a video about the customization. There are many, I think, videos and tutorials on YouTube. There's also the talks from the Odoo Experience, which is our yearly event that presents new versions every time. And there's often a quick talk about good practices or quick wins that you can have. I think those could be a nice starting point as for documentation. We also have, by the way, on odoo.com, an e-learning platform when you have quick modules to quickly discover our apps and get started with those modules by yourself. So I suggest that you use both YouTube and our e-learning platform to start with. Of course, we also have dedicated services. So if you are an Odoo partner and want to implement Odoo, there's also trainings that we do here in our team. To compare period, can we set a different calendar date? So for example, to compare bank holidays, weekends, rather than comparing the exact same dates from the previous year. I would need, I think, a specific use case to understand the question, but I think a way for you to already see it without digging into further details would be through the different date filters that we offer. So I'll be going here back in a spreadsheet through the dashboard, for example. And what I can show you here is that for the different filters, there's the date filter that we played with. And among the different choices, there's, of course, the absolute range, where you can target a specific month, quarter, or year. There's also the relative period, where you can have something more, say, dynamic to today's date. For example, the last week, the last month, the year-to-date as well. And there's also what I like to call the Airbnb filter, the from-to. And in that case, if you want to specifically target one range versus the other, what you could do is to have two different filters. You can have one filter that would be working, say, on pivot 1, right? So applied here in the field matching in pivot 1. And then you could have a second date filter that will be instead applied to pivot 2, right? So you can then have a comparison between, I don't know, Easter's holidays from last year versus Easter's holiday of this year, right? Something like this. And this lets you be the most flexible, right? So again, yeah, I think I would need more details to be able to answer more precisely, but that would be one approach.
That's the way I picture the question as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I can also tell that regarding the related dates to the relative period, we will improve that a lot as well, because currently you can see that the default value is quite limited in what you can do. We're gonna give way more flexibility on that matter in V19 as well.
So choosing, for example, 20 days past,
for instance,
right?
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah.
Great. So I hope we answered the questions. Let's move to the next one. So we had this one. Can we create a dynamic graph on the dashboard? That's exactly what we did. It depends on how you want to create it, but there are different ways. First of all, you could insert a graph view directly in the spreadsheet, which makes it dynamic by default. And if you use a pivot table that you use in the dynamic mode, as we did a lot in this demonstration, if you base a graph on this dynamic table, of course, it will also reflect, as we saw, global filters, being able to reduce the data, expand it, and so on. So yes, you are able to do so. There's different ways. So I encourage you to watch the demo again if you want to reproduce it for yourself. So, I kind of lost myself here. I went a bit too far. Cool. Yeah. Are all those lists dynamic or just ad hoc? So here everything is dynamic. So the big advantage that you have by using Odoo Spreadsheet is that it directly fetches data from Odoo. So that means that all the figures that you see are directly linked to your data, right? So that means if I go back to my dashboard, so we have, what would that mean? So we have sales from specific countries, all right? So what I'm going to do here is a new country. Did you go to any specific country for vacations recently?
Not recently, but New Zealand is really nice.
New Zealand?
Yeah, it's
I
really
like
nice,
it as well.
Nice country.
All right, let's do this then. So I'm going to create a new contact, right? A new contact that will be our dear friend François, right? I'm using the French C, François. And then I'm going to assign it to a specific country, so New Zealand, right? So let's say that you love the country so much that you decided to buy a home there.
I love hobbits.
Yeah, I love hobbits as well. And that's super nice. So we have a new customer here, a company, because of course François, right? Not just an individual, it's François with a big F. So here we have a country.
I might be the only one in New Zealand with a C like that.
Yeah, that makes sense in that case. So New Zealand here as a contact, and we're going to make a new sales to François, all right? So I'm going to make a new sale, so new, I'm going to select my customer here, so François. What do you need at that point? You don't need a hat there, it's not that cold, right?
Depends where you go.
Okay, you need boots?
Yeah.
You hike a lot,
Yeah, I hike
okay.
a lot, yeah.
Okay, boots then. So boots it is, I'm going to confirm, right? And now let's try to see if in our dashboard a new country appeared. So going back to my reporting, and here, boom, directly, I have a new dimension with the country directly there. If I try to find my specific customer, François, it is of course that data that we see here, all right? So I kind of forgot the question, but it was about new data generation and also, ad hoc data. It also includes new data coming in, right? So as long as the pivot that you inserted has something that makes sense to the data that you generate, it will also be reflected live directly here in your dashboard, all right? So let's say that maybe a counterexample in that case. I made a sale and I inserted the pivot from my sales application. If I had maybe both the sales app and also, say, the invoicing app, if I made a specific invoice to François, right, I won't be seeing this data here because I inserted data from my sales, right? So as long as the pivot matches what you generate, everything will be fetched, and not only ad hoc, but dynamically speaking, everything that will be represented in this dashboard. Cool?
Yep.
So, going back to the questions. Good question. What if you want to make a report that needs data from 2 or more models? What is the best way to do this? By inserting a new data, right? So it depends on what you want to achieve, but what Odoo offers you as a feature is simply to go to any model, right? Any view, as long as it is list, pivot, or graph, and you can insert it in the same spreadsheet. So from there, you kind of have either data tables or lists of data, and if you want to combine it, you have, of course, access to VLOOKUPs. You can have computed measures as well, global filters that helps you see one list and the other filtered on the same, say, person, right? So you can have everything combined. And I think that at this point, it is really, say, super specific, right? It is super free. You have an Excel environment, so you can achieve what Excel can offer, basically.
Yeah, might be interesting to mention that it's important to insert all your data from Odoo apps into the same spreadsheet, because when you insert a chart, a list, or a pivot, we actually fetch the data source with it. So you can reuse it, and that's what makes it dynamic. So it's important to do that. You can copy stuff from a spreadsheet to another spreadsheet, but in this case, if you copy an Odoo chart into a spreadsheet, you won't get the data source with it. It won't be dynamic. So it's really important that your dashboard, everything that's related to your dashboard is in the same spreadsheet.
That really is what I wanted to say as well, but you said it better, right? Okay, next question. How about creating a dashboard from accounting custom created reports? So I think Mohammed here is referring to financial reports for those that use the accounting app, like the P&L, balance sheet, and so on. So the exact financial reports are not directly insertable in a spreadsheet. However, those balance sheets and P&L stems from, or say, are based on journal items. So if you use the pivot table of journal items, you could recreate your P&L, of course, and then, say, augment it with new measures, new columns. But you would need to start at the very basis of what is an insertion in spreadsheet, meaning the elements themselves. There might be some discussion, I think, that we wanted to include it a bit better, but for now, you would need to start through the actual journal items.
Yep.
So this question is in French. I'm going to translate it. So is it that on a dynamic table, the months are going to be added as time flies? And is it possible to see the past, the future, and specifically for subs-based businesses, the MRR, so the monthly revenue? So for the month question, yes. If you use the dynamic pivot table, or if you manipulate the formula to be able to host data from new month or past month, you would be able to have something that stretches accordingly. However, for the MRR, it depends a bit. So the past is easily say, achievable, right? You can use the invoice as the revenue that you perceive month per month in the past. However, for the future, since the invoices do not exist yet, you would need Excel formula to populate it. So that means that all the subs that are going to be active for now, let's say that it ends in March, that you need to repeat this amount, of course, until March. So this is more Excel-related computations. All right, so everything that is tangible in Odoo, so if the data is there, you can, of course, fetch it. If you need to kind of project it or forecast things, this is more of an Excel question. Okay, next question here. Where can we find an overview of which data we use in which pivot, with what models can be used, and do we need to add a menu for every model we want to use? Okay, I'm jumping back in my dashboard here. So the question is about where do I find data and how do I know what I inserted? It is through the data menu. Data menu here, you would see the 5 different pivots that we inserted, and if you click on those,
I can maybe show that
yeah.
if you start going over those, you can see that when I'm on the third one, you have a highlight here that's appearing.
Yeah, this green border.
Yeah, the green border.
frame.
So if you open it, actually it will highlight with a green border all the element that relates to this data source. So that's one way to see it.
Yeah, good point. I forgot about this nice feature, actually. So pivot number 3 here on the right, from which you can see the properties. And this small table was using pivot 3, as you can see in the formula. And this is why you have this green frame around it. So the model is mentioned here. So you can see that the pivot was inserted from the sales analysis report. And you also have the technical name for the more technical audience that is here, sale.report. And you can also see rows, measures, and columns, possibly. Yeah. What was the second part of the question again?
Maybe the other way around, because you can access, you can see all the items related to one data source from the data menu, but you can also start from a pivot, for instance, and right-click on it and access this panel, which will highlight all the other items related to this. So you can go both ways to see that.
So indeed, from a cell, you would right-click,
Yeah,
see pivot properties, and you end up
Exactly.
at the same place.
yeah, exactly.
Indeed. There was a second part in the question. I'm going back in my pad here. Oh yeah, what models can be used, and do we need a menu for every model? So any model can be inserted first, as long as you have a menu. So those are kind of interconnected. If you open a menu, you can insert any model, right, ahead. But for example, as in the demo, the series order lines, so every single line from all orders ever, do not have a specific menu for it. So this is where Studio comes in place. You can create new menu to models that maybe do not have an access yet, right? And then from there, you have the freedom to add any specific type of view as well, activating the pivot view, inserting from a specific model that you may need. So this is quite free. Please add feature to change the font in dashboards. This is a question for François. Do you think we need more fonts? And that's a sad face that what he's making as well.
Yeah, I can imagine how sad it is. Actually, it's a bit tricky to maintain. We select this font because it's easily readable and it works on any browser. So no, that's not. I mean, we've added, but yeah, we need to insert that into the library and manage that. So that's.
It's only a matter of time, basically.
Yeah, it
feasible.
will come, but I mean there are more urgent things to do before adding some fonts. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So for now, you can still make it bold, italic, right?
Yeah, we will add the font size changeable. So this is coming as well in 18.1, I believe. So you'll be able to change the font size of the title of your chart and the legend, I believe, the series. Yeah, so we will, step by step we will add.
So it's coming. Don't be sad. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's
at
coming.
some point it will be there.
We just want to make it more, say, user-friendly first, and then of course the aesthetics are going to come second.
Exactly.
Right? Actually, I just thought of it. You can still download the report as an Excel file, and then here you would have Excel. So you can change the font in Excel as well if you need to share it.
Excel.
Yeah, okay. I can understand that feeling. But right, it is for, say, the happiness of our audience, so that's why I'm going to mention it. It's coming. Good. Hi. So when does the Knowledge app will have the table sorting or filter functionality? I think it already does. I mean, I'm not sure what it is referring to, but I'm going to show it as well because it is a nice trick we can show. So since V17, do we have knowledge here? We do have knowledge. Cool. So I wanted to show the insertion, right? So since V17, we have the Knowledge app. I'm going to show it around actually, which works as a small Wikipedia, simply. So a small wiki for your own business. You have, of course, articles, workspace, you can write tips and tricks and so on. And all those articles can also actually host data, right? So what you can do is go to, for example, the sales app, use the pivot menu. And here, that was the insert in spreadsheet that we used a lot. But here in the small cogwheel, you can insert it in knowledge as well. And if you insert it as a view, it will end up like this. So I'm going to create a new one. It will end up as an embedded view of the pivot that you saw before, right? And in this specific embedded view, you have access to what the pivot can offer in Odoo, which means sorting, filtering, right? Grouping, and so on. So that also is a quick win that makes sense. If you need to take the overview from multiple apps at the same time, a good way to build it in a very fast and efficient way is simply use a knowledge article, insert pivot in there, and you would have the embedded view in your small article, right? Okay. There's a lot of questions that is really good, actually, but there's a long list. So let's try to go through all of those. How to combine information from different models. So yeah, that was already asked before. So as we said, as long as you have a spreadsheet that hosts all the data, you can take data from the sales app, the invoicing app, and if you insert it in the same place, you can combine it.
Yeah.
Right. Can I bring in external data to incorporate into my reporting? Okay. For example, we use a footfall counter at our retail premises. I'm not sure what the footfall counter is, I must say.
Neither.
Okay, but let's say it is an external data that would be in a table or Excel format. What would be the best way? I think it's about a spreadsheet construction here. So what I mean is that you would imagine, so dashboard, I think would be the best place. So as we said, the first sheet of your spreadsheet will be the kind of the front face of your dashboard, right? So what you can have in the backstage, though, is maybe one sheet that will be hosting data from anywhere else. So here, if you have another Excel file, you can copy and paste all those data directly in there, and then your construction will use this data into or whatever else. So you can mention maybe commissions or objectives for salespeople. If it comes from another place, maybe you kind of share an Excel file internally and you make people, say, fill in their objectives or expectations. You can take the final file, copy paste the values here, and then it will be used in the, say, Odoo, say, funnel of how you want to see your actual versus expected, for example.
Yeah. It won't be dynamic, but what you can do is that if you have all the raw data, you can paste that into the spreadsheet, then insert pivots, create pivots directly from spreadsheet based on your raw data. That you can do for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe another small way to tackle it would be through, if you have data coming from another platform, you could say, you could also think of a technical solution.
Yeah.
Right? So API, you can have a model that will host what comes from something else, right? And then the API would be populating the data in Odoo, and then Odoo serves as a central place for your reporting or analysis. That could be also one way that is worth mentioning. All right, question still. What time do we have? It's 4. Okay, we still have 20-ish minutes, I guess. Up to us. So let's go. we just do it all. Okay. Wait, I can't scroll. I can't find the previous question. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that was the one.
there,
Cool.
yeah.
So I need to know if we can bring the internal reference of the product in a sales dashboard. Okay, so we can have a quick look here together. I just want to, yeah, okay. I'm going to make the kind of the path with you. So here in the sales app, where you would start, this is where you have all your sale orders. As we saw, this model does not have the granularity that is fine enough for us to even see the products, right? So if you go to the custom groups here, you would find many things that are related to the order itself, so customer, the salesperson, and so on. But you won't find the product, which is the reason why we created the reporting menu to go a bit further in your analysis. And here in this reporting menu, you do have access to even products, right? So here, if I check what I have as available dimensions, I do have products. However, I don't have the reference, right? So if I look into the custom groups here, I don't have any internal reference or even reference. And this reason is this information is stored on the product. So it actually is the same scheme as for the style, right? So the style of a product is defined on the product form. So here for products, if I take a glove, right, the style is defined here, same as the internal reference, right? It is at the same place. So the way to handle it would be the same as Gabriel showed us. It would be through the creation of a new menu on the sales order lines. And then there, with the help of Studio, you can fetch the data to take the internal reference of the product. So in the same way, Studio here, a new related field. There, going to the product from the line, because we are on lines here. And then through the little arrow, I can dig into the internal reference, right? And if I do this and confirm, I would have nothing here because we didn't populate the data, but you would find it back here. So reference, there, I would close. And if I go back to my boots, I would write Richard as the internal reference, go back in my sale order lines, here, and here Richard is populated for every time I sold a boots, plural. Or maybe you only need one boot sometimes, I don't know. Right? So, this is how you would do, right? Okay, next question. How how... Okay, we already answered that one, sorry. Can I calculate in the pivots with additional information from the product? For example, quantity per unit. Quantity per unit is not something I can understand at the first read. Okay, let's say that you have a new... Okay, let's say that instead of the quantity per unit, you want to use something that is related to the weight of the product, so a numerical field on the product itself. You have two choices. You would either do as we've done so far, so related field, and take the data into the pivot that you are inserting, or you could also insert the list of all products where you display the weight, and then you can VLOOKUP stuff, I guess, to combine data. But I think, yeah, this would be worth a special use case to go further, understand what is the results wanted. But yeah, generally, this is what I would...
Maybe if the question is, when creating calculated measures, so custom measures, it's important to mention that you don't have to use only the fields available in your current data source. You can also use any Excel function to get data from somewhere else. So let's say you have some information related to a pivot in a list, which is not from the same data source. You could look in a VLOOKUP in this calculated measure to get the data you need. So you can fetch data from everywhere in the spreadsheet in the calculated measures. If it was that was asking the question.
I guess so, yes. But yeah, I think we can maybe use more details if you want to answer it more precisely. Let's move to the next one. Please, can you tell how to take the quantity of a product invoiced each month? And the same person also added a detail. I explained the context. I sell hours, but I work them the month I invoice them. Okay, so yeah, right. I think it depends on which place you would be starting with, but if you want to see what has been invoiced from a product each month, you would go to the invoicing app. So I don't think we have many data here. Let me have a look. Oh, we have. Okay. Yeah, okay, we have certain invoices, that's good. So, reporting menu here in this accounting app as well. And a good place to start with would be the invoice analysis. Invoice analysis is kind of the equivalent of the sales analysis that we had in the sales app. And here we have the most, say, granular data that the standard of Odoo can offer. And here you can have a grouping by products, category. I think we also have products. I think I used to see that before, products. And then as a measure, you can change the untaxed amount, which is the current column type, I would say, to be in product quantity, right? So here you can see the amount that was invoiced, right? Because you are in the invoice analysis each month per product. That would be one starting point. It depends a bit on how you work, again, because you may only invoice it at the end of the month, not at the beginning. So depending on how you work, you would maybe, say, analyze it differently. Good. That was the slides. And my questions again. Did you try to make reporting on invoice lines? Yes, we did that a lot in the service that we propose. We also have these BI services that we offer to customers and partners as well, to have custom reporting that we would help you achieve. And we did that a lot, yes. We must say that it is most of the time the best place to start with, to be the most granular, because everyone works a bit differently. A lot of customers want custom P&L and so on, so that's why starting with the invoice lines and journal items also gives us the most flexibility and power to report on them. Dynamic is not available in V17. It is. There's also a formula that creates the pivot dynamically. It's not equal pivot, but in that case equal odoo.pivot.table. That serves the same purpose, so one formula will expand the results. However, what we have as a new feature in 18 was the side panel, where you could select the columns and the rows more, say, intuitively. In 17, you need to use the dimension beforehand, so you need to anticipate, and then insert, and this formula would give you the dynamic behavior that you wanted. So with the right configuration and good practices, you can achieve the same results in V17. Okay. Will this be applicable in Odoo accounting and further into analytic accounting? Yes. So as I said before, from the menu to analytic items, you can also have a pivot table inserted, and same approach would apply. I am new to Odoo 17. How can I learn about Odoo? I'm using enterprise version. That's good. So first, welcome, I guess. Welcome to Odoo. There's different starting point, as we mentioned a bit earlier. If you type in Odoo e-learning, there's a small platform that we provide with small classes and small videos to help you learn about all the apps that we propose. And there's also a lot of content in YouTube. So for example, this webinar is live, of course, but will also be recorded and published afterwards. So everything that we create as a content is most of the time on our YouTube channel. So do not hesitate to follow as well and subscribe. That's something that we would like to keep you updated with. Good. Is personalized dashboard setup included in the Success Pack offer? Right, so that's a good question as well. So for customers that use Odoo, there's a way to reach us to help you with your configuration and implementation, which are success packs. So you basically are asking for services from us. And among the services that we offer, we have the implementation, data imports, and also dashboard and reporting creation, of course. So I suggest that you go on our website, and there will be a contact form to contact our team, and then we can have a look together at what you want to implement. Can we do year-on-year comparison? Yes, of course. So we grouped it by month, and then I think I can quickly show it.
You can show it.
Yeah. Would you like to show it?
No, sure. No, go ahead.
I'll go back to the dashboard here. So dashboards, in my reporting through the little crayon, as Gab called it. And so I'm going to take data from that one. That's a good one. So right-click, pivot properties. And in the rows, I use the order date, right? And you have the choice of the granularity here. I used it in a monthly fashion. I can, of course, switch it to year, right? And here I would have one line per year. So if you want to make year-by-year comparison, I think grouping by this measure, by this dimension makes sense. And the granularity helps you achieve what you want to see, right? I think that would be the best way. I'm going to put it back to month and year because otherwise everything would be kind of falling apart. I don't want all the hard work of Grabiel to just disappear, right? Next question. I always kind of lose the question we were with. Yeah, is there any approach to see the same periods of different years about a specific data? Yeah, okay, I think that's the good point that we kind of overlooked, but we offer it now in V18. So switching back here, I kind of guess I have the right question in mind, but I think you want to compare, for example, all Januaries together from different years, I think. So if you want to take into account all revenue from January as a general way to understand that month, you can use another granularity. So there's a month and year. Month and year mentions all the revenue from August in the year of 2024. If you instead use month as a way to see your dates, you can see that it only calls it August. And in that case, it will add up all August's, I don't know if that is a word in English, but yeah, all the same month from different year together, and then you can have kind of a seasonality trends and see how in summers, for example, all your sales are going up or down, and see how how your revenues are evolving around typical years, typically speaking. Okay. Good question also to showcase what we can offer to you guys. Month on month, week on week, as a percentage. That was a very compact way to ask the question. Month on month, week on week. yeah, I guess you can have different. What you can have also is different dimensions. You can group it by year first, and then week second, for example, and then you can use the show as, so the little cogwheel, to see how in a month each week contributed, right? So that's also feasible. I think that is the question. Okay, good. If we wanted to import or manipulate the same data with SQL or Power BI, is this possible? Yes, I mean more or less. What I mean by this is that the database in Odoo is stored in PostgreSQL, so you could have, of course, a way to interact with your data through SQL queries. You need code for that, so either server actions or an API that will fetch it through SQL, so that's possible. And Power BI, of course, as an excellent tool, can have a communication through Odoo with an API, but that is a technical point, of course. So I suggest that you request technical help, so either from us or maybe your own technical team that you may have for this purpose. Can you make a dashboard with projects to show the difference between the expected time and the effective time spent on each task? That is almost standard, I think. Yeah, I would need to check again if you have something on our database here. So I'll go back here, projects. Do we have tasks? Yes, we do. There's the reporting about the task analysis. And here in the pivot table, you have different measures, such as the allocated time, the time remaining, and the overtime. So the allocated time is what is mentioned on the task to say what is expected. So if I go on a specific task, to show you the form of it. Let's say that one. So room 1 decoration. The allocated time is the time expected, right? So here I expect to achieve this task in 76 hours. And among the timesheets, they're up to 41, which represents, right, 54% of the estimated time. So first, task by task, you directly have this information. If you want to see it more on a project basis, I would go to task analysis, go to pivots, and then I would first group by project, right, to see it project by project. It was already the case. And here you can see on a project-wise the time allocated versus time spent. That should be also in the measures, time spent, right? And then if you want to dig further, you can use the second level to display it per task, I think. Task is down here, right? And then you can expand all. And here, per project, per task, you can see the time allocated, the time spent, overtime, and so on, right? So this is already a pivot that answers your questions. And if you want to go further, you can, of course, insert in spreadsheet, and then here, you can go, yeah, as crazy as you want, right? Oops, questions. Again, we have 9 minutes left. So yeah, I'm sorry, I can't show everything because it would take time as well. I'm not sure I have the data, so I'm trying to skim a bit in the questions to go down to the bottom of the list. This is this. Yeah, so yeah, you will be able to see again this webinar on our YouTube channel, sorry. We need to see our permanent monthly fees and our monthly variable fees. So if you use Sub, so the subscription app for this, there will be invoices that will be generated. And if you want to see your actuals, I would start with the invoices as a pivot table to fetch it in your dashboard. Is it possible to have financial dashboard, P&L, with the real accounting and also the forecast? Yes, but it requires construction. So the actual comes from Odoo. So you would take your journal items and entries to fetch the actuals. And if you want to forecast it, you would need simply is a big word. You need to create it in Odoo Spreadsheet. So meaning that per month you would be, say, entering some forecast and then combining it in the pivot. Feasible, but it takes time and also implementation knowledge, which is fine. That would take time, but the environment allows it. If the unit that I work for his purpose, not for financial benefits, and it have a lot of tools and materials to manage, is there a way to use the Odoo software to manage them? I must say I'm not sure I see the question. I kind of feel this is more on the functional side. So Odoo has invoicing and sales. You can also input, the sales price and the costs. So you want to see the financial benefits, so the margin. That also is something in standard. I encourage you to look around in our documentation to find this answer. Right. Last set of question. Can we add conditional formatting and make more than one date filter? Yes, of course. You can create as many global filters as you want, so many different dates as well. And conditional formatting is available in the format menu. So you would go in documents. Yeah, okay. Maybe from spreadsheet would have been better. I can go here, and then in my format, you have the conditional formatting here that works a bit like Excel would, with rules, single colors, data bar, and so on. So yes, you have access to conditional formatting. Can we export data from dashboards? Yes. So either through the link that Gabriel showed, or you can also go to File and then download as well. So that's also feasible. How to combine reports, sale of products and stock on hand. This would be starting from 2 different points. So you would go to the sales reports, insert it as we did, and then you would go to the inventory app, go to your stock on hand model, and then insert it as well. And then here you can check, right? Or through the knowledge app as well. You can have the knowledge article that gives you the 2 pivots, and then you can kind of play around with it. That would be more convenient maybe. How to configure few organizational parts and how to add 2-3 storage locations. You can have a global filter, I guess, to look for pieces in specific warehouses. But yes, I'm not sure what the final usage is, so that is the first suggestion, but it depends on what you want to achieve. Maybe a last one? A last one here. How about search for products from a purchase app and look for product from a warehouse reception or delivery? I'm interested to see that product because of landed costs. Okay, I need product calculation from the import of goods. Okay, so you would need data from purchase. So you would go to what has been purchased in that case. With that pivot, you can have a global filter that helps you look for a specific reference or product. And then if you want to check what the landed costs are, you can either go to your pickings, because the landed cost is already represented there, or in your vendor bills, because then you would receive the amount of the landed cost and combine it either through compute and measure or, again, filters, simply. All right? I think, we made our best, at least, to answer all the questions. I hope that you guys enjoyed the webinar. So thanks a lot for listening to us. Thanks for coming as well. And we wish you guys a great afternoon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Give us a thumbs up.